Agenda setting theory and framing theory are two very important concepts in determining what citizens need to know to be informed and critical news consumers. Agenda setting is setting the stage so that news consumers will know what's going on, which begs the question, are we aware of what we're not seeing? We only really see what the media broadcasts or prints as important or relevant, but there's a lot more going on that goes underreported. That being said, the more the media covers an event or a subject, the more it will be regarded as important by the public. It can be argued that the news tells us what to think with agenda setting. In the Encyclopedia of Communication Theory, Littlejohn and Foss address McCombs and Shaw's research about agenda setting theory. They found that there are three types of agendas: the media agenda, the public agenda, and the policy agenda. The media agenda is what is painted as an issue by the media. The public agenda is what is of concern to the public, and the policy agenda is what is set by the government. Second level agenda setting, or attribute agenda setting, features two factors: cognitive, which is the what people are thinking about, and affective is how people are thinking about it. What tones the story is using impacts how we think about it. We consider what is important and how to feel about it based on how the story is framed or delivered. Framing theory goes hand in hand with agenda setting because it's a response to what agendas gatekeepers have set. Framing all starts with a central organizing idea that media professionals zero in on to deliver information in a certain way. Some people might consider it as a continuation of agenda setting, but it's better to think of them as two of their own separate concepts that can be linked together. Framing theory looks at how a story is told through the language, images, music, interviews, and whatever else is used to determine the nature of a story. Frames are built by journalists, politicians, and culture on the basis of factors like societal norms, news culture, pressure from interest groups, routines as professionals, journalists' own ideas, and surrounding cultures. Morrow et al.'s article on framing in the Ferguson incidents offer frames that were constructed by the newspaper media in a 4-week span. They identified that there were two key frames in this study: journalistic frames and advocacy frames. Journalistic frames were defined as established frames that frequently appear in news coverage, and advocacy frames were defined as content choices associated with the narratives put forth by advocacy movements. This study analyzed how these type of frames were utilized with the Ferguson incidents and how their use changed from week to week. The study also mentions that frames are not mutually exclusive, meaning that they can coexist and contribute to the overall frame of the story. In the case of the Ferguson study, journalistic frames and advocacy frames contributed to the overall presentation of the story that the newspapers were capturing at this time. With framing theory, there are 4 framing flaws. There's personalization, which focuses on an individual over an entire social issue or concern. Fragmentation, which are short summaries that present information that a media source may want you to hear, but doesn't provide the full context of the story. Dramatization is taking the value of entertainment or drama and using that as the forefront of delivering information. Lastly, normalization is solving problems within our current political system. In class, we looked at different media coverage of the EpiPen shortages and found which framing flaws applied to the EpiPen agenda. It was narrowed down to normalization and personalization as the two biggest instances. Normalization was a factor because solutions were offered in the form of a less expensive but generic EpiPen. Personalization was used because the majority of interviews utilize a child expressing their concern or fear over the EpiPen situation. Although there is more to understanding how to be an informed and critical news consumer, agenda setting and framing theories are among the most important concepts.